Hey you guys, I am back with the Remedy series and we're moving right along. Now we're in the final part of the Remedy for Life's journey, and that is part 3. Part 3 is the lesson, from losses to lessons. So in life, you will have losses, whether that be people or things, but there's always a lesson in the loss. You just have to take notes and pay attention. But today I'll be sharing a quote from chapter 10, which is wisdom and discernment. And the quote is, God has endowed all believers with a measure of discernment. However, not all believers use it. It is very important that we begin to use the discernment that God has given us. Discernment is truly a gift from God. I see discernment as that sixth sense. It goes beyond what you see, what you hear, and what you feel. It is a knowing. It is that gut feeling you get when you're about to make a decision or when you're in the presence of others. It's that unsettling feeling that you get that just doesn't feel right. And oftentimes, we fail to take heed to how we feel. We fail to take heed to our instincts, because 95% of the time when we get that feeling, that is our discernment kicking in to let us know that something isn't right. So we have to be conscious about using discernment as it relates to making decisions, and especially as it relates to dealing with people. You have to be able to check and vet people. You can't be so naive and gullible to allow people just to come into your life, because, as I stated, not everyone has your best interest at hand. Some people really mean you harm. So it's very important that you begin to analyze people and look at people's character. Oftentimes we get in trouble by looking at a person's outer appearance and deeming them worthy based off of their outer appearance. People check boxes, but God check hearts. People check a person based off of their clothes, their money, their houses, their power, and their prestige, rather than a person's heart. The only way to check a person's heart is to look at their character. If you deal with a person often and you want to know the true intent of a person, or if a person means you well, one thing that I've learned that you can do to truly learn a person and to see if a person means you well, stop doing what you're doing for a person for a moment. Tell someone no. And if that person's demeanor or countenance change towards you, if they begin to treat you differently, that person does not mean you well. So it's very important that we vet people. Everything needs to be vetted. Everything needs to be checked at the door, because we're truly living in some troubling times and people can't be trusted. You have to be mindful of who you allow access into your life. It's very important. So we have to begin to get like God and begin to check a person's heart. So as I stated, if you want to know if a person has good intent for you, tell them no. Stop doing what you're doing for a moment to see if a person's countenance will change or their demeanor will change towards you. And wisdom and discernment goes hand in hand. Wisdom goes beyond knowledge. Wisdom is knowing when to use a gun, but knowledge is knowing how to use a gun. See, we have to be wise about the decisions we make. Not every decision we make is a bad decision. However, sometimes it's the timing of that decision that we make. So we have to make wise decisions. And if you don't have wisdom, all you have to do is just ask God for it. He will give you wisdom if you ask him for it. And I've learned through the years, one way to get wisdom is to have gone through great pain. You acquire wisdom through experience, through being foolish, through making bad and dumb decisions. You come to learn the error of your mistakes so that you're not making the same decisions and that you begin to make wise decisions. So sometimes we get ahead of God, we get desperate, and we begin to make decisions without God's peace. I encourage you, never make a decision if you have no peace. Because making a decision without God's peace can cost you everything. So we have to begin to use wisdom and discernment as we make decisions and as we deal with people. I'll leave you with this quote. God does not exist to answer every prayer, but by our prayers, we come to discern the mind of God.